Hat, check. Sunglasses, check. Notes, check. Pepsi, check. Sources, check. Thick skin, check. Oh, and one more thing. 10,000 subscribers, check. Let's go. Hey, welcome back to Golden Blue Dude with your humble host, Golden Blue Dude. And if you're a diehard college football fan, this is the place for you. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button because that's all we do here. Quick reminder, I do now have a P.O. box, so you can send me stuff to display on my back wall. So represent your team and send your gear to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. All right, well, week 0 is in the books, and you know, I didn't think any drama would happen, like no big storylines, blah, blah. Yeah, there was some drama. There were some storylines. First and foremost, Nebraska gets beat by Northwestern, and I watched that entire game. Nebraska was the better team for at least one half and part of the third quarter. They went back up by 11 points, 28-17, and then Scott Frost decides to kick an onside kick. And I even looked it up. The chances of recovering an onside kick is right around 24%. That's not good. The only time you should try an onside kick is if you actually need it. There's not enough time to get a stop on defense. You don't have any timeouts. You need the ball back immediately. That's the only time you should be trying an onside kick. Nope, not Scott Frost. He tried to get cute, and it completely swung the momentum for Nebraska. The reason this was such a terrible, terrible decision, besides the obvious, is last year Nebraska was 4th worst in starting field position, averaging their own 26. This game, it was going pretty much the same, and by doing an onside kick and not recovering, you flipped the field on yourself. You didn't even give your defense a chance. You flipped the field on yourself and gave Northwestern an incredible starting field position. Even if you would have held them to a punt right then and there, you flip the field, you'd be started like at least your own 20-yard line. No, Northwestern immediately scores, so it hurts you even more. In and of itself, that was a bad decision. But then Northwestern scoring because of that, it makes it one of the all-time biggest bonehead decisions I've ever seen in college football. Did it cost Nebraska the game, just that one play? I would say no, but it did switch the momentum, and Nebraska was never the same. I mean, even Casey Thompson, the quarterback for Nebraska, I thought he had a great game. Up to that point, he was slinging the ball, and he was seeing the defense, he was seeing his receivers, he was seeing the routes, and his ball placement was pretty good. After that, he kind of fell apart. So he needs to be more mentally tough because it did affect him. But the offense wasn't really the problem for Nebraska other than the run game. They have got to be more consistent with the run game. But it was their defense. Tackling. Simple tackling. Their defensive line got tremendous pressure on the quarterback and the running back, but they can never wrap up and tackle. It was like they were trying to do the hug tackle like this. They didn't lean into him and grab, and none of that. It was arm tackling all the way. What did you practice in the offseason? Because what I saw on the field, it made no sense to me. Northwestern broke tackle after tackle after tackle after tackle. Tackles that should have been for a loss, they were broken, and Nebraska loses by, yeah, you guessed it, 1 possession. Scott Frost is now 5-21 in 1-possession games. He cannot win a 1-possession game to save his life, even against Northwestern. And this was supposed to be a gimme game because last year they absolutely whooped Northwestern 56-7, and you dropped this game. Scott Frost, your days are numbered. Now, at first I was like, man, he's going to get fired in Ireland. No, because the buyout goes down tremendously in October. So honestly, he has one more chance. One more chance. Of course, you have to beat FCS North Dakota and Georgia Southern. Those are supposed to be gimme games. Oklahoma comes to Lincoln. You have to beat Oklahoma. If you beat Oklahoma, you'll probably beat Indiana and Rutgers, and boom, this season is turned around. Your job is saved. So his job centers on one game, and that's Oklahoma. Circle it. It is a rivalry anyways. Scott Frost, you will be coaching for your job in Lincoln, Nebraska when you play Oklahoma. And I expect you to lose and lose your job. And Scott Frost, his new name will be Scott Lost, because that's all he does at Nebraska. And I mean, think about it. In the entire history of Nebraska, Scott Frost has been responsible for the worst stretch of Nebraska football in Nebraska football history. Not good. What else did we learn in week 0? Well, we learned that UConn is better than what we thought. UConn was like a 24, 26 point underdog against Utah State. They actually had a chance to win this game. They jumped on Utah State 14-0, but then Utah State had 24 unanswered points to make it 24-14. UConn's defense really stepped up in the second half, only allowing 1 touchdown in the entire second half. But one pass interference kind of changed the game. And no, I don't like to blame the refs, but it was obvious. Anybody that watched that game, that was not a pass interference, and it would have been 4th down. I can't recall if they were in field goal position or not, but still, it resulted in a touchdown on the penalty and ensuing plays after that. So it did directly affect the game. But I'm very impressed with UConn. I had them going 2-10, but after that, I'm actually kind of impressed. They have FCS Central Connecticut State. That's a win. Syracuse, I'm flipping that over to a win. At Michigan, still lost. At NC State, still lost. Fresno State, still lost. At FIU, they're definitely better than FIU. That's a win. At Ball State, definitely better than Ball State. That's a win. Boston College at home, still lost. UMass might blow them out. That's a win. Liberty at home, I flipped that over to a win. At Army, I'm keeping that as a loss. Could UConn go 6-6 and get to a bowl? Yeah, it's definitely possible if they keep playing the way they played against Utah State yesterday. That was a great game by UConn, especially their defense. They do have a few things to work out on their offense. And finally, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt blows out Hawaii. Raise your hand if you saw that coming. Anybody? Yeah, that's what I thought. Nobody saw Vanderbilt blowing out Hawaii. In fact, a lot of people thought Hawaii would upset Vanderbilt. Remember, Vanderbilt was a 9.5-point favorite. I was like, man, why are they that big of a favorite? I could understand this being a pick'em or favored by 3-7 or Hawaii favored 3-7. No, 9.5. And Vanderbilt actually obliterates the spread. I did not see that coming. And the biggest part of this game was quarterback Mike Wright. I mean, you talk about a dual threat quarterback. He was 13 for 21, so didn't throw the ball all that much. 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But with his legs, my gosh, 13 carries, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's a great quarterback. And the defense did their job as well. Held Hawaii to 10 points. And I know Hawaii's not any kind of offensive juggernaut or anything like that. But I was impressed by Vanderbilt. Is Vanderbilt a potential bowl team? They would be, except for their schedule. This is probably the toughest schedule in all the nation. So I had them losing to Hawaii and going 2-10. Of course, that flips over to a win. FCS Elon, that stays a win. Number 22 Wake Forest. They have a terrible defense. Lost their starting quarterback. I'm calling it. I think Vanderbilt upsets Wake Forest at home. I'm flipping that over to a win. 3-0 Vanderbilt. 3-0 Vanderbilt. Wow. And then right after that, on the road to Northern Illinois. Yeah, I think they're much better than Northern Illinois. That's a win. 4-0 Vanderbilt? Are you kidding me? Yeah, but here's where the good news goes sour. Because then you go on the road to number 1 Alabama. That's a loss. Number 21 Ole Miss. That's a loss. At number 3 Georgia. That's a loss. At Missouri. That's a winnable game. I'm going to give it to Vanderbilt just for the sake of argument. After that, South Carolina at home. No, I still think South Carolina's going to be much better. That's still a loss. At number 20 Kentucky. Can't do it. Still a loss. Florida at home. Can't do it. Still a loss. Tennessee at home. Can't do it. Still a loss. But still, 5-7 Vanderbilt. I bet nobody sees that coming if it does happen. And who knows, maybe they could flip a South Carolina or a Florida or a Tennessee and get to a bowl. I think the highest probability would be actually Florida. I think they're the worst out of those 3 teams. But a Vanderbilt going to a bowl, we haven't seen that in quite some time. Not since James Franklin was the head coach over there at Vanderbilt. He actually had a couple of 9-win seasons. Think about that. Vanderbilt with a 9-win season. So we haven't seen Vanderbilt get to a bowl since then. I mean, from what I saw against Hawaii, it's definitely possible. I don't know how doable it is, but it's definitely possible. The schedule is brutal, but they could get off to a 4-0 start. 4-0 Vanderbilt. That seems like some kind of sick joke, doesn't it? Vanderbilt going 4-0. Now, that doesn't seem right. But after what I saw with them against Hawaii, it's definitely possible. Maybe by the end of the season, we could be talking about Vanderbilt possibly fighting for a bowl spot. Wow. And all this is a direct result of week 0, a week where we thought we would see no drama, but that's really all it was. I mean, all the FBS schools beat all the FCS schools, so nothing happened like that. Not like last year when Jacksonville State beat Florida State. They took care of business. Few teams didn't look great, especially Western Kentucky over Austin Peay. North Carolina didn't look all that great against Florida A&M, but they all got their wins. But these other 3 games, yes, absolute drama, and it might affect the rest of the season. Well, I know Nebraska will, because a lot of people had Nebraska going 7-5. That ain't happening. I say 5-7 at best, but as is, I have them going 3-9 again. Yeah, week 0 really affected me in a way that I did not think it would affect me. So y'all let me know in the comment section. Number 1, do you think UConn or Vanderbilt gets to a bowl? And number 2, do you think Scott Frost can win that game against Oklahoma and save his job? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.